We continue our conversation with Mike Schmidt from CAA North and East Ontario. We're talking about preparing your car for spring. And Mike, the next thing that comes to mind, and I think a lot of people probably feel this way, is that, windshield washer fluid. Like, why do I even bother using summer fluid? Why don't I just keep that winter stuff in so I never have to think about it? What's the difference between those two exactly, Mike?
Pretty much, one has a lot more alcohol content than the other, and that's the winter washer fluid, and that's going to help de-ice. It's going to keep everything good, and then most importantly, it's not going to freeze when it's up. Whereas the summer fluid, it's more of I almost call it like a bit of a degreaser, right? Like
Okay.
it's good for getting bugs off, bug spray wash, that type of stuff. All the grime and junk that can come and hit your windshield in the summer times. It aids a little bit more like that, and it doesn't have as much alcohol content, so it is a little more susceptible to freezing in the winter months.
Mike, and I think it's obviously more important when you go from sort of summer to winter, or even fall into winter as those temperatures get colder. Some people I've heard, I've got about a half a tank full of the summer fluid. If I pour in the winter, maybe that'll be okay. Do you have to empty it completely before you make that change?
If you mix it a little going into the summer, that's okay. I'm not sure I trust it as much in the going into the winter, because the last thing you want is there to be an issue going into winter, and then if it does freeze, then you're in for another ball of wax. You can either put it inside and let it try to melt out and then waste it all, or if you don't have that option, you're gonna have to go to a repair shop and they're gonna have to remove it, and obviously that costs time and money. So
yeah, you don't want to have to deal with that. Well, we also know that winter is very, very hard on the interior of your car, because you're getting that in and out of the car, that salt and sand and so forth. Salt stains are a big thing for people, that especially if they're cleaning the car themselves. Any recommendations in getting rid of those salt stains?
Salt's the worst, especially if you don't have like a rubber winter liner or a rubber floor mat or something in the wintertime. It just can cake everywhere, and it gets very hard and it calcifies, and it's some nasty stuff. But you know what? Just a very, very simple fix: half water, half vinegar. And you mix that into a spray bottle or something like that. And the vinegar, the acid in it just softens all that stuff up. And then you can wipe it off or vacuum it out. It's a good little household hack there, if you will.
Yeah. Mike, I'm embarrassed to say, and I said it to you off camera, so I'll be honest on camera, wiper blades, I've probably had mine for 4 years, and I have noticed that deterioration has been happening, much longer than should be. How often should we be changing our wiper blades? I mean, probably one of the biggest things we should do, right, for safety reasons.
For sure. And you know what? It is one of those, I don't blame you one bit. It's one of those things that if it out of sight, out of mind, right? If it works, it works. And if it doesn't, that's when it's time to do it. But really, I would highly recommend replacing them at least twice a year, just going into the summer and then going into the winter. That's generally a good time frame, because it's one of those things that is just, you take for granted. It's so important to be to have proper wipers so that you can see out the windshield. And if they don't, at one little point, or the blades start to rip or deteriorate, it's not going to be a good situation. So highly recommend about twice a year if you can and you're able.
Oil changes, obviously different usage, probably different times to change your oil, but just speak on the importance of that, and then of course topping up those other fluids.
It's definitely one of those fluids that's it's called an essential fluid for a reason. It's the lifeblood of your engine. When it gets grimy and gungy and stuff like that, you really don't know, because you can't really see it. It's not, so there's always a recommendation of when to replace it, and it's by your manufacturer, by your vehicle manufacturer. So every 3 months and 6,000. I've seen 4 months 8,000. I've seen 12 months 24,000. So it's really, really important that you know that interval on the make and model that you're dealing with, because everyone's different. Every engine is manufactured different, and every manufacturer has a different spec on when they want it changed. So
yeah, and Mike, it's also a good opportunity to look at those other fluids as well, and there's so much information available online. Mike, really appreciate you joining us as usual, and thanks to you at home for watching. We'll see you next time here on Daytime Ottawa.